Now I'm under the vehicle and I'm looking for a noise when the vehicle is encountering rough surface. It feels like the body is lashing against the frame. So I was able to locate that noise. If you look carefully at that lower control arm suspension where the torsion bar is inserted, and we take a look on this side, you will notice that crack in the metal right there, and that is what's causing our noise, because obviously the control arm is broken. It's a crack in that area. So we could see that bracket with the 3 bolts is what's holding that sheet metal for the control arm together. Now we're gonna have to take this arm out and most likely change it, but it could also be welded. Since the bottom portion of it is not cracked all the way through, most likely the top is cracked and the metal is stretched, so it's gonna have to be compressed back and welded. So we're gonna have to place the jack on the frame of the vehicle and release the torsion bar adjuster bolt, allowing the suspension to release its torque. So those 3 bolts can be removed and we could detach the suspension lower control arm from the vehicle to take it to get welded. Most preferably is to replace. So this is one thing you're going to have to look out for on your vehicle, because once that arm completely breaks, it's just going to twist itself apart and completely destroy the lower control arm, and it will not be able to repair. So let's take a look again at this side, and you can see we do not have that condition with that crack, but there are other places that you need to look at that's going to have damage to the sheet metal, like the lower support for the shock absorber. You can see where that bracket is welded to the lower control arm. You see that hairline crack? Well, that's another area you're going to have to look at, making sure that the suspension lower control arm does not have a crack. And you can see that crack is leading around the corner to the edge. So those are all things you're going to have to look at now that the vehicle is approximately 200,000 miles. So that was the left side suspension shock, and here we are again back on the right side lower control arm, and you can see right there is another hairline crack on the lower control arm. So at this point it'll be best to simply replace the lower control arm with a factory Nissan dealer item. You do not want to go with an aftermarket, because that steel that the control arm is made of might be inferior or a different gauge, a less of a gauge, and you might end up in the same problem. So this is a suspension troubleshooting video to show where noise may come from. The noise from this cracked control arm will sound like a broken or damaged ball joint. So once you hear that ball joint noise, you will have to take an inspection at the lower control arm, making sure that it does not have cracks like that. Thank you for watching this video. See you again when we disassemble this lower control arm and make the necessary repair that's required.